But when we announce like, this will be the last day, then automatically the size also going to be reduced. I don't know why. It is happened like, when I started my career as a trainer. Initially, I thought of it's because of me, I felt very bad. Later, I realized that it is happened for everyone who are working here in Amirpet. But the interesting thing is, whatever you learn, like, from the last 1 month or 1.5 month, and the last 15 days of the subject, what you are learning at the end, that 15 days of the subject will help you 90% of your real-time application development. 90. Last 15 days, whatever, like, any faculty who are explained, last 15 days or 20 days, that is 90% of real-time approach. Remaining, like, whatever, like, you learned for 1 month or 1.5 month, that is just like, to give you an overview or introduction and to understand the concept. Those are simple examples. But the problem is people are ready to take that basics. If it is something advanced, I don't know what will happen. It is happened not even for now. From last 7 years, I'm observing it. Seriously, very initial days, like, I felt very bad. And I stopped, like, taking sessions also. Maybe I'm unfit to take the classes. I think in that way. Later, I realized I spoke with many faculties who are here from last 10 to 15 years. I spoke with them. Then I realized, okay, it's not my mistake. Because today the concept is services. Routing is not yet done, but what are the basics of routing you understood. Now, as I told you, like, all together we are going to build a simple application, right? So to do that one, definitely we should understand like how to work with the services first of all. That is my intention, where like I'll start the services today, but seems the size is less. I can't do anything. Okay. I'll come to the routing session later. Don't worry. Still, see, if I want to close, I can close yesterday itself, but I'm not going to do something in that way. Whatever I feel that is important to me, according to the real time, we will be learning that, but learn like, in a flow, because you will be in a position to understand like how that application will work. You're not the kids where like, you people have some understanding around the Angular right now. So that is what the reason I just keep like, this one as it is, and I'll come back to this point later one more time, and we'll be completing. As I told you, child routes creating is very important. Route guards are very important. And after that, route parameter, these three concepts are very important. We will be come back to that. Like once we are completing, like, at least to read the data, then I'll come back to here. Just today, I'll give you like, an introduction of how we are going to work with the services. Now keep the heading services in Angular. Services in Angular. Just to keep the heading services in Angular. So what is meant by a service? Generally, what is meant by a service? A service is a reusable block of code. A service is a reusable block of code which can be used for multiple components, or else maybe I can say directives, or else I can say pipes, etc. That what I can give. That means when it comes to the service, a service is a reusable code. Okay, reusable code which can be used for multiple components, directives and pipe. Wherever you guys wants to use that particular logic, you can use that particular one. Now, what is the advantage of that particular one? Generally, I have a requirement. The requirement is going to be just you can assume that this is how the requirement is. I'll prepare, let's say, an MS Paint, and I'm going to have the data here. This is the data that what I am having, where I'm going to have, otherwise, let's say, I have I have like, this is one component and this is the another component and this is the third component that what I am having. And these three are going to communicating with like, a particular place and get the data. That is how it is going to be. If that is a case, let's say this is the component one, which is communicating with the SQL Server database and get the data, and that data we are going to use. So that in order to communicating with, generally it is not communicating with the real world API, real world databases. Just let's say it communicating with an API and get the data. So that the API related logic has to be written in component one, right? Yes or no? That means sending the request to that API and getting the data that needs to be written for one time. Let's say fetch we have used. That is also used to make an API call and get the data. That is what an API, application programmable interface, which provides you the data when you are requested. Now we have like fake store products is available. When I'm sending a request by using the fake, am I able to get the data from the service or not? Yes or no? That is what we call it as an API, application programmable interface, which is a system which will provide you the data when the request is going there. That is how it is. Now I have another component. Maybe this is the component 2, and this is also connecting with that API related logic. And also I'll be having component 3, which is also connected and get the data from that API. Now here the same logic, I have written it for 3 times. Am I right? Suppose in the first case, I'll be displaying the information in a table, and in the second place, I just wanted to display the data, maybe in the form of a card. And in the third place, I just wanted to display that with the help of, let's say, heading. That means the data is same, but the displaying is different when it comes to the component. But to get the data from that API, how many times I supposed to write the logic? 3 times has to be written. Suppose like this kind of requirement, if I'm having it in my application for 100 times, then 100 times the same logic is repeated or not. Repeating logic writing is not a challenging task, but first suppose if the logic is going to be modified, that means the JavaScript, they remove the fetch method. Instead of doing that, they have given a different method with the name promise. Then 100 times I have to change it, right? Wherever I write that API logic, wherever I wrote that API logic, every place I need to go explicitly and I'll do the modification. That is the biggest challenging task. Maintenance would be a very difficult task if you are not having a reusable logic. Always, that is the reason reusable logics are very important, which will play a major role when it comes to the development, okay, and maintenance, both the stages. Instead of doing or writing this, now what I can do, all this API logic in general, I'm going to have it in a single place, in a single place, and that place, what I am trying to call it as a service, and in that service, I'll be writing that API logic. That means here, inside the component, I don't want to write this API logic. Rather, what I can do, I am going to use, rather what I am trying to do, I am going to use a separate place to write that API logic in order to interact with the database or some XYZ location and fetch the data. That is what we call it as a service. That is where I told you, service will contain the logic for once, and that logic can be reused at multiple components without writing. Suppose in future, maybe if the API logic is changed, I can straight away go to the services and I can modify it only once, right? Do I need any modifications on components then? Tell me. Obviously, no, because the data is not changed. Maybe the method is changed or the URL is changed. Then what I supposed to do? I'll straight away go to that API and then I can provide the details over there. Once if I provide the detail, then automatically it will work. So that is how it is going to be. Understood? Clear now? So that is the reason where I wrote something like this. A service is a reusable or else reusable block of code which can be used for multiple components, directives, and also we will be having the pipes XYZ, whatever it might be. Okay. So we can use the services to extend the behavior of that application, that what I can say. If you wanted to extend the behavior of that application, there you supposed to use. What is the main difference between service and component? Arey man, what I told you here, what you understood, tell me first. Anil, right now at this moment, what is your understanding? Services can share the data to the component. That is what I told you. Then you know it. Why this question again? Do you think this is not the main difference? Then why you are asking me a question? What is the main difference? Combination of components is not a service. That is wrong. Service will contain a reusable logic, and that logic you can inject it into the component. That's it. And this service generally what it will do? It will connect with the real world APIs and fetch the data and display the data and all, like, it will be handled by this service. So this is what I can say, the backend application. Okay. This is the backend application. Backend application will connect with the Angular services and fetch the data. Okay. And this service can be used in the component. What is the main difference between service and component is one thing just now I have explained, and the following, like, you will be understanding in program. I'll explain you the program so that you will be understanding. Okay. We can use the services, like, to extend the functionality, and we have, like, lot of advantages. Something like services can enable the following feature. The first feature is going to be reusability. If you can write anything with respect to the component, that logic is available at component level. Otherwise, if you wanted to share it, that same component or else same logic to another component, then we use that @input and @output decorators, right? Have you remember? Yes or no? So that means it requires an additional logic, and that is required to write, in the child component and parent component. Suppose let's say I don't have any relation between the component, though I wanted to share the data from one component to another component, then what I can do, I'll keep all the data in one service, and these two components will connect with the service and fetch the data that what we are having. Understood? That is also one of the reason. The main functionality is going to be reusability, maintainability. That is also one of the advantages that we are having. And we have the testability, and also we will be having security. And the next one is going to be performance. Performance, I can say. All these are the features that you will be getting if you guys can use the services. Now, what exactly a service? A service is a collection of factories. Now, again, you will be getting a question, Srikanth, what is a factory? A factory, okay, a factory is a set of values and functions. Generally, where the values and functions are available, where the variables and methods are defined. Very good. You're an object-oriented programmer, man. If you wanted to write a function without writing the class, is it possible? Even in Java or .NET also, just you can imagine, without writing a function, is it possible? I mean, without writing a class, is it possible to write a function? No. Without creating a class, we cannot even declare a variable also. Outside, if you can write anything, either a function or a method, or it might be a variable, it will throw you an error. Definitely, the compilation error only we will be getting. Why? Because a class is a collection of data members and member function. That means it is the combination of variables and methods by default. So that is the reason where it is throwing you an error at the time of declaring outside the class. So that means when I say about a service is a collection of what? Factory. A factory is a set of values and function. That means programmatically what exactly the service is. A service in Angular is a TypeScript class which is having a decorator that is at the rate injectable. What it is? At the rate injectable that we are having. Now, if you wanted to answer the question between the service and the component, this is the one of the difference. Service is also a class, component is also a class, but what is the difference programmatically? Component class will contain at the rate component as the decorator, right? And service class is having at the rate injectable as the decorator. And the next one is going to be, when it comes to the component, one logic, if you wanted to use it in another component, we should follow the lot of additional functionality or lot of implementation is required. But if you can use the logic in the services, that can be shared across multiple component, that is the advantage. And the next one is going to be, in Angular, services uses singleton mechanism, which improves performance also, What is mean by singleton mechanism? Again, only one object it creates. Even though it can be used it for multiple times, it doesn't mean that it creates multiple. It will create a single object across that application. That is also one of the advantage that we are having. But component, you may take, component will create a multiple object for every call. That is also the third difference that what you can say. Okay, that is also the third difference. Now, as it uses the singleton mechanism, it follows dependency injection, so that objects are created where? With the help of constructors. That means always that objects of the service class must be created with the help of constructor, because it follows which pattern? Dependency injection design pattern. Now we have predefined services. That means we have predefined services are available. Those are something like the first one is going to be HTTP client is one service, and the second one is going to be we have routing services are available, because to understand the route parameter, we will be using a service that is activated route. Understood? And to prepare a sample application, at least we should get the data from the server, that is fake store API. Again, the service concept is required to build that application that what we wanted to achieve. That is only the reason I just gave a break for what? The routing mechanism. I'll complete this service by today and tomorrow, and then I'll come back to the routing one more time. By this weekend, I'll try to finish everything. Okay, routing and service together we will be building a simple application so that we will be in a position to understand it in a better. Next week, we will concentrate on what the simple concept like unit testing, or it might be material UI, RxJS operator, operators and material UI. Those are not there, but as someone asked me, I just include it, nothing apart from that. Okay, we will concentrate on that. Okay, don't think that like, the routing is done. Routing still it is on, but once if this service you will be getting a clarity, then I'll be back to that. Okay, right. Now here we have HTTP client is one, routing is one and all. Now how to create it? I'll show you with an example. I'll be creating a new project over here to demonstrate about the services so that G for generate, I wanted to generate an application. Maybe I can say services demo, that what I can give. And do you want to include the routing or not? Yes, you can include. And style sheet format as going to be CSS, that what I can do. Now packages are installed successfully. And if you can go to the projects over here, we do have the services under that app folder. Maybe I'll go with the styles.css. I'll be importing the bootstrap here. I'm sorry. I'll be importing the bootstrap from the node modules. I'm sorry. I'll go with the node module where I can have the bootstrap dist CSS. I'll be using bootstrap.css, I can say, and at the same time import the URL. I'll be using the node modules here. Let's have the bootstrap icon, font bootstrap icon.css, and save it. And now you can just come back here. The very first thing is going to be, I just wanted to create a simple service here. As I told you, every development activity should be happen inside the app folder, or at least you should write inside that SRC folder. Don't write outside. Okay, don't create outside. That is not a good practice. That is where SRC stands for. It's the source code. It's not the source, it's the source code where you can write like, your code based on your requirement. Now what I want to do, maybe under this SRC, I'll be creating a folder. The first folder name is going to be services. Under this SRC, maybe if you wanted to create another folder with the name component, so that you can have the component without, if you don't want to touch like, the app component and all, what you guys can do is you can create the component and you can create the service. That's up to you. And another thing is, if you people wants to have, let's say, module, separate module. So far we created what? We used like app module, and day before, yesterday only we used app routing module. Both are created by what? The Google team as the part of like, the scaffolding approach. That is the boilerplate code. That is a predefined code they are giving. Can't we create our own module? Is it possible to create our own module? Yes or no? Sure. Yes, we can do that. If at all, if you wanted to create the module, then create a separate folder. Okay, with that name, there you can maintain everything. I'll do one thing. I'll be removing this. Okay. Let us remove it. I'll remove like, this one, move to recycle bin. I'll remove this component. I'll remove it, just delete it. And after that, right now, this is how the structure, right? Now what I want to do, I'll be creating a folder, and maybe this folder name is going to be, let's say, action, or else maybe login, I can say. Okay, login related, what I want to do, this is the login. Write down with lowercase letters always. Login, that what I wanted to have. Generally, this login, like whatever we are having, I'm assuming that this is a separate functionality. That means it is having its own services. It is having its own module. It is having its own, let's say, component. So for that reason, I'll be preparing another folder here. The first one is going to be services. And after that, I'll be creating, okay, I'll be going here and create another folder, maybe with the name components. Like that I can create. And if you wanted to have a module, maybe directly you can add the file also. How to create the module? I'll be using login.module.ts, I can say. Okay, na? Clear na? Everyone is clear? Now, what a module will contain? As I told you, module is also going to be a TypeScript class which contains a ng module decorator. So that what I can do, I am using import. What I supposed to import? ng module, where it is available at the rate Angular/core library. After that, I'll be using ng module, and then that last one is going to be export class, and the name of the class is going to be, let's say, login module. That what I can give. Understood? Now, module by default will contain what? Module by default will contain what? Declarations are there. Okay, declarations are available or not? At the same time, it is having what? Exports are available, and at the same time, we have what? Imports are available, but don't give what? Bootstrap here. Don't give what? Bootstrap. Even though it is supported, don't give the bootstrap here. Why it is not given? Why? General thing, general and very simple thing. I hope you people have learned about the console app development in your Java and .NET. Is it possible to have the multiple main methods in the program? Is it possible? It is not possible. That means the program should start from a starting point. So that is the reason we should have the main method. That is important. We should have the main method. That is important. But how many main method? Only one main method. That is the reason if you people wants to execute this module, okay, that means which module you people wants to execute for that module only, you can use what? Bootstrap. Otherwise, don't use the bootstrap. Okay. Already the application is works from the app module. Shrikant, can't we change? Yes, you can change it. That's up to you. There is a possibility, but one module only should execute always as the starter. In which module you have the starter, there you can give the bootstrap. Otherwise, it is not required. Now, additionally, here you can see we have the providers are available, right? Now, what is mean by a provider here? Having this is an optional one, but generally the purpose of the provider is used to inject the services. Now I will show you that. Now what I want to do, this is the module that what I have. Now I'll be creating a service. Now how to create a service? Maybe I'll select the service and go to here. Under the service, now what is the service? Maybe let's say captcha dot, I'll be using service.ts is the file. Now as I told you, a service is a TypeScript class which comes with the decorator that is @injectable. That is what? @injectable. So how I can use it? Simply I'll be writing import. What you are going to import? Injectable. Import injectable from @Angular/core. After that, I am using injectable decorator which contains only one item mandatory, that is provided in, which provides three options for us. What are the three options we are having here? What are the three options? One is any, second one platform, and third one is the root. At this moment, I am using the root, but I will give you what are the differences are available. Don't worry. And the last one, you can see, I am going to write export class, and the class name is going to be captcha service. That what I can give. That's it. Captcha is something like generating the 6-digit random number automatically. That means based on the refresh of the, that can be used in the login page, right? That can be used in the registration or not. Suppose you forgot your password, then it will ask you enter your password and enter the captcha. That means that functionality we are using mostly in like, different places so that I can use it in a service. And in the service, what I have done, I used an import statement and then I used an injectable and provided in root, and I have an export class and the name is going to be captcha service. That what I'm having. And I'm having like this. Now what it contain? It contain a simple JavaScript code, and every service logic is different. Every service logic is different. And to write the service logic, definitely you should have a good understanding on what this one. JavaScript knowledge is required. Otherwise, you cannot write like, the services. That's very important. So that what I can do public, maybe I will be writing generate code and the type is going to be, let's have the string. And I just wanted to create like, couple of variable where a is equal to, we have a math object is available and there we have the random, and I'm going to multiply that with the 10 so that it will give me the value. Like that, I'll be having 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, 5 digits are enough. I'll be giving B, after that C, after that D, that what I can give, after that E, that what I am using. That's it. This is how it is. After that, where code is equal to, I am going to use backtick syntax where I can have the dollar, and I'll be giving A and give some space. Okay, but maybe it gives you a random number with fractions, so that what I can do, math dot round, I'll be giving A and give a space over here. Give a space over here. Second one. Third one. And after that, I'll be giving the fourth one. And after that, I'll be giving the fifth one. And then E, A, B, C, D, D, C, and then B. That's it. So what I supposed to do is I created some random number by using like, the math function, and it is giving me like, the data in the form of string, so that I am going to return the code that what I am having. I'll be taking a string here so that we don't have any compilation issues as well. That's it. Now you see, this is a service that what I have. Now this service, I just wanted to use it in my component. That is my requirement, right? Yes or no? That is my requirement. So these kind of scenarios, if we can have, then we use what? Then we use what? One that is the provider. What a provider will contain? Provider, you can see the set of injectable object that are available in the injector of this particular module. Okay, that means nothing is there, man. It contains all the services that are belongs to this module. Now I created a service. What is my service name? Captcha service is the one, right? So that what I can do, I'll come back here and give that captcha service and import the namespace reference. Clear na? Clear na? Yes or no? Very good. And the next one is going to be what I just want to do. What I just want to do here is I'm going to let's say I have a component. I don't have any component right now at this moment. Let me create the component. So that component creation, I hope you know it already. I'll go with the command prompt and then let's have ngg c for the component, and the name of the component is what? What component it is? What component it is? You can create a component with the name what? Maybe login hyphen skip hyphen test. I'm asking just a component name. Why you guys are keeping faces like that? Okay, now I'll go to here, the login component that what I am having. And in the login component, the first thing is going to be, now you see the time when I create a login component, if you guys can observe that login component is registered here or not. See this, where it is getting registered. It is registered under the login module. Shrikant, how it is going to be? That is how we created our folder structure. Based on the folder structure you people have created, it will follow like, that related module automatically. That is how intelligent of like, our CLI system, command line interface. But if you can go to the app module, you can see, you cannot find that one. You can see, did you find the login component here? Did you find the login component? It is not available. Only it is available under the login module, that where you can have it. Now, okay, fine. Login component is created, and let me quickly go there and get the data. So how I can do that one? As I told you, the services uses the singleton design pattern. We must have to create that object with the help of what? Constructor. So that what I can do, I'll be using private underscore service, and the name of the service is going to be, let's say, captcha service, that what I can say. Why I am taking private mean the scope of this object will be very less, and it is required only when this component is executed. And once if the component is getting done, then I don't want to maintain it in my memory. That is the reason I use the private. Private means it's a local, completely local to this particular component. That is how made. And then what I can do, I just wanted to write something like ng on init is available, and also I'll be creating a simple variable public. Always write the variables above the functions. I'll be writing public code which is of type string is equal to, I'm giving an empty value, and then I just wanted to get it. So how I can get it? Simply underscore service dot, we have the generate code is available, and this code I'll be storing it in the this dot code that what we are having. That means the generate code method will get the code, and that code I'll try to store it over there. Clear na? Yes or no? And at the same time, I'll provide a new method public. Let's have, maybe I'll be using the new code, and the type is going to be, let's say, void you can give, and the same code that has to be written here also. Just you can write like this. This is how it is going to be. And let me quickly do like, the login component HTML also. I'll be doing the login component HTML very quickly. Div, the class is going to be the container. And after that, div, I'll be taking maybe, let's say, login hyphen form. Sorry. Div login hyphen form I can give, and after that I'll be taking the form, and after that let's have the DL, let's have the DT, username has to be, and then DD that what I can give, and I'll be using that input type as going to be, let's have the text, and I'll be giving a class here, class equal to form control I can say. Okay, form control I can say. After that, we have what? A password, and where I can have the DT, and input type as going to be, let's have the password, and after that, for this one also, I'll be giving the class as going to be, I'll have the form control, something like this. And at the same time, now what I can do is, we will be having just a dummy code, verify code. Okay, verify the code, writing a simple button. Okay, and the class is going to be btn, and for this one I'll take a span tag where it contain bi bootstrap icon hyphen arrow hyphen clockwise I can give, so that it will verify it. And at the time of having this one, for this button I am writing a click event. When user click on it, new code or something is right, so that I can give like in this way. So this is how it is going to be. You will understand the challenges here. And at the same time, I'll be having the DD where I can get the code that what I'm having here. So that I'll copy that and paste it here. That's it. Just this is how I have written. Maybe if you want to add the login, you can. But I just wanted to execute it. Then how I can execute? How I can execute this one? Tell me. We will be using the bootstrap, right? But you see in the app module, in place of app component, when I use a login component here, I'll be using the login component here, and I just wanted to run my application nges hyphen o hyphen project is equal to, what is the project name? Services demo, right? Services demo, and then click on OK, so that it will start that execution. Compiled successfully, but are we getting any output here? See that we are not getting any output. Rather, what it is, the selector app login did not match. Okay, fine. The problem is going to be what? If we can go to the login component.ts, we have that app login, so that I'll copy it and go to the index.html, and where I can give it over there, save it. And now you can see, if you can just come back here, that app is getting updated. If you can refresh it once again, am I able to get it or not? Yes or no? Now you see the time when user click on here, then automatically it generates the new code for me. Understood? Like that, you people can write it in anywhere. Okay, you people can write any component anywhere. But one thing you should remember here, login component I bootstrapped from here. Suppose the same login component I used it in here also. Okay, under the declaration section of the app module, I use what? Login component. And at the same time, under the login module also, I use the login component and save that application, and then come back here and just refresh it once again. Maybe go to that inspect. Okay, very good. It is not giving. Okay, maybe the 16 it get removed, but the lower version, if you can try one component, if you can declare in one module, and the same component if you can declare it in another module, okay, then it will throw you an error. But not sure, but that was happen, right? It should give an error, multiple imports generally, it throws you an error, but in 16 maybe it get changed. I'm not sure, but because I have seen my experience many times, the same issue. One module, one component, if you can create it in one module, don't give it in the declaration of another module if you are using 15 and below version. But in 16 it is okay, but this is not a good practice according to me, because the same module if you can register for multiple time, it's not a good thing. That is what I'm thinking. Maybe let's say exports and imports I'll remove, and we'll see. Export and import I'll be removing. No, it is perfectly fine, working perfectly fine. It's okay, but this is not the good sign. I don't know like why they have integrated, but this is not at all good at like architecture level. Leave about it. You see there. There you have an error, but still we are getting an output even though you can find that error. You can observe it. See there. The component login component is declared by more than one module. Did you understand? That is what I am trying to tell, but still like not sure like why it is coming as an output. It won't be the, let's clear ng yes hyphen o. I'll close the browser also once. Hyphen o hyphen project is equal to services demo. It should generate an error. Okay, leave about it. It is working, but definitely this is not going to be the good sign. Maybe in 16 they might change it to the warning, but definitely don't do that one, because you see, you can see like, they provided a clear warning for us. Otherwise, maybe what I have done, ts config, I modify the strict rule. Earlier it has to display that error. No, it's working fine, but programmatically it is showing me an error. It's okay, but this is how like, it is going to be. The component login component is declared by more than one in a module. That is app module and the login module. Don't do that one. According to this, it is not required in this one, so that you can remove it. You maybe remove it. Okay. So that's the good practice always. Now you see the error count will become 0. Maybe not sure on 16, because I told you, still I am working on 13 only. In Amirpet only we will be having 16 and all, but in practical still we have 9 also. 9, 10, people are working 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 very recent project. I don't think so 16 is started directly. Any project which is started like, a month back, they might start with 16, but now still like, we are at 15 and below versions only. That is where I haven't updated myself, but this is how it is going to be. Is this clear, or any questions here? Simple thing only, nothing major difficult. Clear? So now here in this particular service, you can see what I have done. I created a service here, the CAPTCHA service, which will be getting the code. Now the same thing, if at all, if you wanted to use it in the registration component, then what I need to do? Do I need to modify any code here? Or do I need to copy paste the code to the register component? Tell me. It is not required. What I can do, I'll be creating a component and I'll create an object with the help of the constructor, and I can call this method or not. Yes or no? Suppose I have another place that is going to be the forget password. When user click on the forget password, then I'll ask the user to enter the password and implement the same functionality to that particular place also. If that is the case, we don't have any issues. Like, the modification of the code, same code we are consuming, but we are not like, rewriting. If we can rewrite, then modifications will be the challenging task. That is the maintenance. But we are not rewriting. We are reusing the functionality. Okay. We are reusing the functionality. that gives you like more advantage. Just to first come out from like, that Amirpet learning, man. Okay, what makes you the confusion? Having another module here? The only reason why people are not sustained in the job means learning like, with the juicy concepts. Juicy, I mean, it's a kind of like, here, whatever you're learning, it's completely more juicy. If a more difficult task, a simple difficult task, if you people get, generally, not only you, the people who learn from here, they're like, getting more tension. Arey, why, how we can do this? Initially, it is okay, but slowly, if you have an experience, you should just come out from that. Because real time, it's all about like, based on the client strategy. You, me, and nobody can like, think what a client will think and how the requirements are going to be. If that is a case, you should be in a position at least to take the challenge. Why only the developers are having good salaries compared with long life also? If you wanted to be in the development, you will be in IT for minimum of 50 to 60 years also. If you are a good programmer, you have 50 years of career in IT. Compared with any tool, if you are really a good programmer, logically you are a good programmer, you will be in IT for 50 years completely. Why? Because logical thinking. That is like, one thing which has to be improved by ourselves. Nobody can explain you like, this much juicy. That is where once if it is ready to be closed, I'm doing the shuffling, right? I can explain with simple example, I can close it. But why I'm doing this shuffle means it gives you some challenges to you. Should be accept and then correct all. Okay, I'll explain you the same program one more time. First, what I have done, I created a module. Separate module I created. For that, I created a folder with the name login. This login folder will contain login component, login service, and then login module. And with respect to this particular one, with respect to this particular login, all the component pipe services directive, whatever I'm creating, I don't want to register it in my app module. Rather, I'll be maintaining it in the login module so that what happen, if something is happened to the login related functionality, then straight away I'll go to that module or not. Yes or no? Modularity means what? Segregating like, that application into different regions or different section. Suppose Naresh IT has approached me and asked me to build an application. Then what is the next question I'll ask? Okay, what are the modules we wanted to include? Trainer one module, or else like admins one module, student one module. Maybe in the future, once if my development is done, they recruited 1 or 2 persons to maintain the project. Okay, if that is a case, if something happened in the student or else student registration page, if something is happened, they don't need to check like, all the application. They straight away go to the student module and they can find the relevant component and they can do the fix, right? Yes or no? That is what like, the modularity, which is very important in the practical. Shrikant, why here in Amirpet people are not teaching that or not it is important means here, as I told you, we are developing a simple application. Don't compare this with the real time. But like, the approach that what we are following, that is same. Concept is same, programs are same, but you will be getting extra more like, the functionality with respect to that in the real time. Not even here, Java, .NET, anywhere you go, here, whatever you're learning, don't learn like an example, learn like a concept. Then only you can relate that to the real world. Otherwise, you cannot. So, in practical, what we are doing as an architecture, I worked for an architect for Angular application. I created like, the modules separately. And in that module, the module related component, services, pipes, directive, or contract classes, anything it might be, I'll be maintaining it in a separate folder. And for that folder, I'll create the module. Now in that module, whatever I created, everything I'm going to register over there. Either I created a component, register here. I created a service, register here. I created a pipe, register here. Like that it is going to be. Understood. Now, the same thing, if you people wants to use it in another module, what you guys can do is explicitly, by default, it is not required. Explicitly, if you want to do that, then you can use the login module. Suppose you created a directive, man. In the login module, you created a directive. Okay, just so you can imagine. And that directive, you wanted to use it in like, app module. Then what you can do, this module name, what we are having, that you can use it in the import section. That is what we are doing. I use the forms module. Why I use the forms module? Did you remember? Two-way data binding ng model is available, right? ng model is a directive which is available in the forms module. That means that is available in a separate module. Whenever I wanted to use that ng model, then I'll be getting that and use it in the import section or not. Yes or no? Same way, if you created a different directive or custom directive that you people wanted to use it in another module, then you can use it in where? Import section. The way how we are importing the forms module, you can import the login module. Like that, I created a login module. After that, I created a service, and the name of the service is going to be the CAPTCHA. It's just a JavaScript code. What I'm doing is I'm just getting some random number multiplied with 10. After that, rounding it. That's it. Nothing apart from that. And then I'll go to my component, and inside the component, I created an object with the help of dependency injection. Whenever my page is loaded or component is loaded, I'll get the code. And the same time, whenever user click on like, this button, this is a button. When user click on this button, I just wanted to execute new code functionality and assigning it to this variable, and that code variable is this one. Okay. This is what I have done. This is the basic example with respect to the services. And tomorrow's session, we will be understanding more about like how to work with HTTP client and also RxJS observable and subscribers. Tomorrow class is very, very, very important. Every day we are using it in the real time. Same practice. This is just a basic example. But tomorrow, whatever we are going to discuss, it is very important. So please be here on time. Okay. I'll post everything by tomorrow. That's it for the day. Thank you and have a nice day.